Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. Today we're going to talk about the normal growth and developmental stage of being a teenager. I want to tell you something. Across the globe, I've heard people go, "Oh, I have a teenager." Like they got the plague or something. Oh my word, I just want to tell you, I love teenagers. I'm kind of an odd bird, I guess, because most people love those little cuddly babies when they're all helpless. Eh. I mean, I love babies, don't get me wrong, but I like wild and crazy 3 and 5 year olds, and I really like teenagers. What can I tell you? Okay. So, teenagers. First of all, if you were starting with me from the beginning, I so want to say this to you. When you give them a foundation and you are with them in their infancy and their first 5 developmental years, you will have a different experience with your teenagers than people who are living with teenagers today and hearing me for the first time. So, the earlier you get your hands on this and the more diligently you listen and start to develop some of these concepts in your parenting or in your own personal life, the better the teenage years are going to be. So, let's talk about normal teenagers. Of course, teenagers are ready to exert their independence. My one grandson, when he was like 4 or 5, I used to say, "Hey, little man, how's it going?" And he'd go, "Granny, I'm not a little man. I am a big man." Well, today he's well over 6 feet tall and almost 200 pounds, and he is a big man. And he's been a big man for a couple of years now. Teenagers do not like to be called kids because what do you know? Technically, they are no longer a kid. They are a young person. Okay, so they're developing their strong sense of who they are. It still may be fluid. That's why you want to be careful about their friends and who they're hanging out with and where they're going and some of the things they might get exposed to, because in that fluidity, as they're discovering things about themselves, you don't want them getting into trouble. And they're very likely to. They get a little rebellious. The more pressure you exert on them, the more control you try to have over them, the tighter rein you put on them, the more it's going to bring rebellion out of them. You've got to be able to give them a certain amount of liberty. They are an individual. Let them express that. So pick your battles wisely with a teenager because teenagers might want to wear their hair differently than you like. A guy might want to get, 3 or 4 piercings, or a girl might want to get her nose pierced or her belly button or other things, and you're going, "Ah." Yeah, pick your battles wisely. I'm not kidding about this. Uh, they can't go get ink. Well, they shouldn't be able to anyway, legally, without your permission, and some kids are really ready to go do that. My point being that as a teenager develops that independent sense of self, you have to allow that and you have to be ready for that. You can't be freaking out about that. Of course, they grow like crazy. So physical development is through the roof. And because of that, often they're awkward. They might break things. I mean, things outside of themselves. They also might end up breaking some of their own self. Lots of teens end up with broken bones because they're just not accustomed to this body yet. I mean, a young man I know personally literally grew 14 inches in about 6 months. Yes, I'm not joking. You heard me correctly. I have a brother that grew 9 inches in less than 5 months when he was 15 years old. Boys just go through these crazy growth spurts sometimes. Girls, they tend to grow incrementally, little bit by little bit. But guys, wow, they can really grow fast. They're not at all used to this new body, so they can be a little physically awkward, what we would call uncoordinated. They might not like their body. They're dealing with a lot of body image changes, okay? Girls sometimes, as they develop breast buds and then they develop breasts, and sometimes they really get breasts. And I know a young woman who had huge breasts and at 15 years old ended up having breast reduction surgery because it was killing her back and her shoulders. Yeah, they don't know what to do with that. So you go, "Oh, you're so pretty. You have such a nice figure. You're so beautiful." And she feels really weird because you know what? A year ago, she had a flat chest and now she's got all of this and she doesn't like it and she doesn't know what to do with it. There is a ton of adjustment going on. So you need to not be really odd and weird and freaked out because they're already there. They need you to be just fine. Okay? They may go through a stage where they've been really cooperative all their life and suddenly they're kind of belligerent, and all of those things are really normal with teenagers. Teenagers are going through massive hormonal changes. And I have to tell you, in today's world, the average young woman starts her menses at about 11 and a half years old. So this is before being a teen that you're going to deal with really crazy hormonal changes. But guys, for this huge growth to happen, they also go through hormone changes. So you're going to be dealing with hormones. Get ready, be prepared. And we all know, I mean, guys, if you've been around a woman very long at all, and man, lady, I know you know this, at least once a month, you go a little crazy, your hormones just go wild. Well, think about that running through your body in just crazy, exorbitant amounts for months at a time. Then you might have a little more compassion, a little more tenderness to your teenager and what they're going through hormonally. Okay, another developmental phase or regular part of what happens with teenagers is they have really increasing independence. They used to hang out with you all the time and do stuff with you. Now they don't want to be with you. They want to be with their friends. They want to go skateboarding. They want to go, my one grandson, they just want to go to the park and swing and hang out and do anything but have to be around you. That increasing independence is actually a really good thing and a normal thing. As I said, you just need to pay attention to who their friends are and, if possible, make your house the go to spot. Yeah, I realize it's going to cost you a little bit of cash. Be the place that when they get out of school, they come over and you have sandwiches or you have homemade cookies or you have brownies. I mean, you can make it so that you're the place to be. Okay. And when that happens, welcome them, sit with them a few minutes, and then get out of their space. If that means you have a ping pong table in the garage or the basement, or you have a pool table, or you have a pool in the backyard, whatever that means, give them the opportunity to hang out together and spend time, and you're not in the middle of it because they need that independence. That is an appropriate thing. I'm going to talk to you for a minute about other cultures because I've lived in other cultures, of course. Do you know that in many places, by the time a young man is 13 or 14, he is a young adult? He's expected to work. He is expected to contribute to his family. I mean, that's his real life, okay? And he has to start behaving similarly to an adult, though he's a young adult. So he does it under the care or the mentoring or the direction of someone older than he. I think that's a really good picture for us. I think the same thing is true for a young woman. If your daughter is going to grow up and care for a house, I'm not saying she's going to be a housewife, so don't say, my daughter can be a whole lot more than that. Oh, don't I know that? But what I'm saying is, if she's going to be a woman with children and a home, then she has to know some things about taking care of a home. And so you give them more and more responsibility. Actually, one of the things that I find appalling and saddening today is most parents don't give their teenagers a great deal of responsibility, and teenagers can handle it. You need to give it to them, okay? A young woman, by the time she's 13 or 14 years old, she should definitely be making dinner one night a week, minimum. Okay, if you have 4 or 5 kids, every night should belong to a different kid. Literally, they have to plan the meal, they have to give you the grocery list. Ideally, you take them to the grocery store with you at least once a month, and they have to buy what they need, and they start to find out how much and how little, and they go, oh, mom, I don't have enough of this. Then they find out. That's how they learn. We usually learn best by the things we didn't quite get done. And they need to be doing the dishes, they need to be doing their own laundry, they need to be vacuuming, they should certainly be keeping their room in order. All of this is on you as a parent. You had to train them to do this as you went along. And if you're just hearing this today, do not despair. Okay? Recognize it may be a little bit more of a battle. Here's how I approach that. In counseling, I'll say, when you grow up and you get out of your mom and dad's house, which you can't wait to get out, I used to have a sign on my fridge that said, quick, leave now while you still know everything. When my sons were like 15, 16 years old. Yeah. So when you get out of here, because you're dying to get out of here, there are some things you need to know. You need to know how to do a budget. You need to know how to do your own laundry. You need to know how to do the dishes. You need to know how to take care of your own physical body. You need to know something about how often do you change the oil in your car. There are tons of things that you need to know, and I'm willing to help you start learning. I recognize you are an extraordinarily smart, capable individual. So I'm not saying that you're a dummy and, don't you know anything? No, no. I'm saying there are things you need, and I would love to help you get them. Really sit with them. What do you think you need to know? And then help them start brainstorming and thinking about this so that you're preparing them for an adult. Because you know what? Before you know it, they're going to be an adult. I'm not kidding you about that. An older teenager, by the time they're 16 or 17 years old, face facts. They can go wherever they want to go, honey. I mean, I am not kidding you. I have a friend whose daughter has already skipped more days of school than she's allowed this year, and she's probably not going to graduate from high school because of it. And her mom can't stop her. You think you're going to lock a 17-year-old in their room? Yeah, don't kid yourself. They have a lot of independence and they're going to do what they're going to do. So you need to establish a great relationship with them. The earlier, the better. Okay? And I do mean a teenager. So teenagers don't always want to talk. Oh, mom, get off my back. A guy is a lot more likely to talk to his dad if he's going to talk to anyone. Don't be bent out of shape about that. And don't be upset about the things they're not talking to you about. With that being said, because a teenager is a young adult, I want you to think like this. Would you walk into your friend's house, go into your friend's room, start digging through their stuff to find out if they're looking at pornography, if they're, doing drugs? Would you literally go in their room or their closet and start digging around? Well, I certainly hope not, because it's inappropriate. I can really say to you from the time my kids were 14 years old, I never entered their room. I didn't need to, and I didn't do it. I didn't clean it. I didn't have to put their clothes in there because they were already doing their own laundry. I didn't go through their stuff. I asked them very specific questions respectfully, and I asked them to respect me enough to tell me the truth. So I would ask them, are you doing drugs? Are you drinking? Are you doing anything dangerous? Have you been looking at pornography? Tell me what's going on in your world. This is a conversation that you can have with someone that you've developed a relationship with. Did you hear there was no accusation, there was no blame, and there was no anger in there? Yeah. Teenagers have enough of their own angst and enough of their own anger and enough of their own frustration. They don't need yours. So remember the concept about you're in control, then they can be in control. Okay? The last thing I want to tell you about a teenager is this: a teenager desires, urgently, strongly, desperately desires connection. This is why they care so much about their friends. They also desire that connection with you. And it is your place as a parent to create an environment in which that connection is fostered. Don't push them away, even accidentally. Okay? So, what in the world are you supposed to do about that? You are supposed to be kind, be patient, be affectionate, be understanding, be supportive, be in control, and be interested. Maybe you really don't care about video games and your son is so ecstatic about this new video game and he's going on and on. You better learn to listen, because then you're showing interest in him and what matters to him. And eventually, he'll also share his heart with you. So, with a teenager, you have to enjoy the adventure. I kid you not about that. So many awesome things happen to teenagers. They grow up, they become much more of who they're going to be. It's very exciting to be a witness to that. Uh, it's pretty exciting to watch them develop physical traits of adulthood. And though they're uncomfortable with it, you can be an encourager. You can go, wow, you are really a beautiful young woman. I understand maybe it's a little awkward for you inside of your skin right now. You're not even used to this, but you just look amazing. Let's find things that accent your shape without advertising the wrong messages and making you feel uncomfortable. Let's just get you some really beautiful things to accentuate who you are now as a young woman. And with a young man, you can acknowledge to him, I know you feel kind of awkward and you're not even as good at sports as you used to be because you're not used to this new body yet, but you're going to get better. And I think you're going to continue to be an amazing guy at sports. So don't worry. I think your body looks great on you and you're going to be okay with this. And in some of their emotional changes, some of the things they're trying to work out, be as supportive as you possibly can. And recognize that they're going through a lot of emotional stuff as well as physical and even certain mental changes. They are learning so many complex concepts in school and, frankly, out of school about life. You should be just as supportive and encouraging, and you should be their absolute best cheerleader. Yes, you can go to the game and cheer them on, but I mean at home in your personal life together, you should be their absolute best cheerleader. Teenagers are amazing people. They are really exciting. They really, truly are. I hope that you can enjoy the development of your teenager in the maturation process as they become more and more of the person that they're going to be, and that you don't let the common speak get to you. Oh, teenagers, they're this, they're that. No, they aren't. I'm going to leave you with an illustration. I used to work nights, so I'd be at work, and this friend of mine would say, I don't even know how you think you can trust your kids. I wonder what in the world your kids are doing right now. I'd pick up my phone, I'd dial my phone number and say, ask my son what he's doing. Be 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. And he'd answer. And she'd say, David, what are you doing? And he'd say, my homework? Who is this? And she'd say, Jan Carlton. Yeah, your mom told me you'd be home doing your homework. I don't really believe her. I just wanted to find out. Okay, Miss Carlton, thank you. He'd hang up the phone. I kid you not. My kids were at home. They were not out running the streets. My kids did their homework. They went to bed at a reasonable hour. They straightened up their room. They did laundry. They did what they had to do. They got ready for the next day. I put a foundation into my kids' lives about what their life was supposed to look like and what was expected and the level of responsibility that they had. I never worried about them. And they never gave me cause, pretty much, to worry. They did what they were supposed to do. Train your child, nurture your child, show strong affection to your child, raise your child with great intention, teach your child to listen to you and to talk to you. And when they're a teenager, it's not going to be as bad as everybody said. If you have a teenager and you're really going through trouble, we will have a Saturday session where we will deal more strongly with some of the issues that come up with teens. But in general, my challenge for you today is enjoy your teenager. Really, sit with them, listen to them, have a pizza with them, hang out with them, heaven's sakes, even play video games with them. Go to the mall with your daughter and go shopping. Enjoy your teenager today. Thank you for joining me. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.